Hello. My name is Patricia. Today we're going to talk about the 7 significant educational differences between Mexico and the United States. The information presented in this video is based on my experience in both countries regarding education. So, now a little bit about myself. I am from Mexico. I have been living in this beautiful country for almost 20 years. I attended the elementary school, secondary school, and high school in Mexico. So some of the goals for this year are to provide you with educational content, education business plan, inspirational stories, and other exciting things that might be helpful, to inform you. So let's get started. The number one is the educational structure in Mexico and the United States. For example, elementary school in Mexico is only 6 years, which is also known as a basic education. Then we have the middle school, which is another 3 years, or we call it secondary education. Then we have high school, 3 years, which is also known as upper secondary education. Finally, we have the university for 4 years, also known as a higher education. So after that, a lot of students who pursue, who have academic goals in mind, they continue their studies with a doctoral program, which can be 4+ years depending on the career in Mexico. So now, if we talk the same, talk about the education structure in the United States, there are 2 ways to earn the high school diploma. The first way is by attending at the elementary school or primary education for 8 years. And after that, another 4 years at the high school and to earn a high school diploma. The second way is attending at an elementary school for 6 years, then to a junior high school for 3 more years, and 3 more years to finish the high school at the senior high school. So after that, when it comes to college, I personally, as I mentioned, I attended the elementary school and high school in Mexico. So I started attending at the community college for 2 years to earn my associate's degree in the United States. And then after that, I moved to a private university for 2 more years to get my bachelor's degree, and then 2 more years to get my master's degree. So that's what I did. So this is a best choice for a lot of students like myself who are already parents, or also it works for a lot of the traditional students who choose to get skills and get trained to in many of these areas, to start incorporating in a workforce. So the second way is technically after the high school. A lot of the students also go to a 4-year university to get their bachelor's degree, and then another 1 to 2 years for the master's degree. And if they wish to continue their studies, they also have the opportunity to earn the doctoral degree for 4+ years. Again, it depends on the career. It depends on what they want to do. So it is a great thing to continue, with academic goals, because as a life change is changing a lot. So it is very important to encourage you guys to continue your academic goals if you wish to do that in the United States or in Mexico. And so number two is the education system. So that is one of the most important, part of the which differentiates between Mexico and the United States, because as you know, in the case of the United States, or actually Mexico, let's start with Mexico. There is, there are different levels, starting with the Mexican Secretary of Public Education, which is the SEP. That is, it is a federal government administration that oversees the development and implementation of the education policy, followed by the state of, Secretary of Education, and department levels such as the Undersecretary of Primary school, higher secondary, and higher education. So those are the different levels. And then we have the municipal superintendents, and then supervisors, and then the principals of each school. So then we have the teachers, parents, and students. These are technically the stakeholders of the education system. So however, in the United States, we also see different levels, which is pretty similar to Mexico, but there is a little difference between the two actually. So, for example, there is a U.S. Secretary of Education, which is the head of the U.S. Department of Education. So this department sets policies regarding the federal funding assistance to state education departments. So then we have the state Secretary of Education, and then we have the county superintendents, and then the school district superintendents, principals, and teachers. So you see here that a little difference. So here in Mexico we have more, more levels here, and actually it's like a one or more than in the United States. But the difference is that in Mexico, based in my experience, I can say that parents' involvement in education, in their kids' education, is very important. It's actually part of, the system, because whenever, there is a decision making, regarding the policies and stuff, they do come from these departments, but parents' decisions and choices are, taken into consideration. So, however, in the United States, it is also almost the same, but I see it like more than, for example, I am a parent, so actually we come last. We do volunteer in some of the schools and stuff, and we are allowed to participate, in a lot of these meetings when it comes to the principal's decisions, regarding the school safety, a lot of this stuff. But it's not like, the parents' decision or, choices influence the decision of these departments. So that's my experience in both countries. So now, when it comes to the number 3, which is the types of schools, so this is very important also, because in Mexico we see only public and private. So for the most part in Mexico, you're gonna see a lot of these public schools, and private schools is mostly about of the upscale communities that can afford to pay for these private schools and stuff. But they do they do exist, especially in the biggest cities of Mexico, but not in small towns where I was born. So, for example, well, in the United States, we have public school also. There are private schools too. So one of the most important parts of the types of schools in the United States is that it's charter school, which is a technically independent school established by parents, teachers, and communities. So uh, for example, homeschooling is also used by parents who need, unique situations based on their concerns or needs. For example, kids with special needs, safety reasons, or other reasons that they might have. So this is one of the choices that they can have for their kids. So I have heard this in this last decade that charter schools are better options than public schools. So I have friends who have recommended me charter schools instead of public schools, but I haven't made the decision yet because I feel like public schools in my area, in my district, or where I live, uh, these schools are great to me. So it depends on the parents' needs, or it depends on the area where they live. So now, when it comes to number 4, probably this is the most essential part of the education. Why? Because it tells us how much or how each country contributes to the education. So this facilitates each student's access to education. So, for example, while in Mexico, each state provides, uh, free textbooks to students until 6th grade, but sadly, educational supplies such as pencils, notebooks, and other basic needs such as uniforms and stuff, parents need to buy them. Otherwise, I remember that my parents, if they didn't buy my uniform or stuff, I wasn't allowed to be part of this PE. So PE, which is physical education. So that's one of the bad things about that. So as well, parents must, bring all the supplies and uniforms, which is one of the barriers in most vulnerable families that cannot afford these tools. So moreover, we have from 7th to 9th grade, students also, need to buy or must buy their books, school supplies, not to mention computers or personal computers, which are an essential part to do, assignments, to complete the task assigned by the teachers. So now, since the innovation and technology has changed very fast, so which became part of our daily lives. So just imagine getting education in Mexico if you don't have a computer, or if you don't have access to this basic need, that might be a barrier. So I remember back then when I was living in Mexico, while I was in these grades, I didn't have a, a computer to do my homework and stuff, but there were, local locations with access to internet where we had to pay like a little fee, to access to the internet and to the computers to do the homework. So now, when it comes to the 10th to 12th grade, also students must bring all the supplies, the uniforms, for the most part. In most schools in Mexico, specifically public schools, they do require they ask students to wear uniforms, and they have to pay enrollment fee. So I remember, like, in between 10th to 12th grade, no, between 9th to 12th grade in Mexico, which is high school, I remember that I had to pay, a small fee, which was less than $10 that I had to pay every 6 months, which is every semester. So that's pretty much about that. And now when it comes to the public university in Mexico, it is one of the top universities that can be free or almost free. So when it comes to the tuition, so that is UNAM, UNAM, which is a public university. So which can be 1/4 of 1 peso per semester, plus all the expenses regarding school supplies. No uniform required, but you do need to buy your books, all the necessary things that you need. So the other thing about the education laws in Mexico is that there is no such law that says that, that provides free meals to all students in any school, specifically in public schools. So none in this level, none in this level, none in this level, and obviously none in the universities either. So unless it's a private school, but in Mexico I didn't have any experience regarding private schools. I didn't attend to one, so I don't have a lot of information about that, but I can definitely find more information regarding that, and I can add a link below so you can take a look. So now when it comes to the education laws in the United States, let's take a look. So we have the education from Head Start. Head Start is one of the levels below kindergarten. So it is, for example, my kids attended Head Start when they were like 4 years old. So let's say from that level to 12th grade, the education is technically free for low-income families. So for example, they do qualify for a lot of these public schools. Like in the case of my kids, they did have access to all the school supplies, and specifically when the COVID-19 started, all these schools, including elementary school, high schools, provided Chromebooks and access to public libraries, and even Wi-Fi for all the students that needed those services to complete their assignments. That was one of the best ways, and they continue to do that. For example, my son is attending high school right now, so he gets, he has the Chromebook provided by his high school, so he didn't have to buy his computer because he was provided, the Chromebook, which is very, very easy for him because it has all the, the programs and all the things that he needs for school and stuff. So nevertheless, we have public and private universities, which are the most expensive in the academic career in the United States, because the tuition can range from $15,000 to $25,000, depending on if we are talking about public or private school, depending on the career. So that includes education fee, which is a tuition. That includes the dorms. If the students live far away and they want to attend to a university, if they don't want to drive every day, they can do that. They can choose to do that too. Specifically, what I have experienced mostly about the college education in the United States is that universities, I feel like there's price discrimination there. I mean, like if you make a lot of money, that's the percentage that the university is gonna charge you, I believe. I'm not so sure about that, but I do have friends who have, shared this, the tuition they're paying compared to what I have paid in this private university, which is a great university. So, it may vary a lot in each state. For example, the state where I live, it might be more expensive or more cheaper compared to another state. So yeah, it is one of the I believe it's the college education has become one of the top requirements for a lot of these jobs. So yeah, so it is great if you have an educational goal in mind. It is very important that you pursue whatever degree uh, you wanna get, but I specifically try to find more information about each university, how much they charge, and which I'm gonna cover a little more in another video. So don't hesitate to ask, to leave me a comment below, or if you have any questions, if there are things that I don't know, I might be able to find that information for you. So yeah, that's pretty much about number 4. So now number 5. Now we're gonna talk about disrupting issues in education between Mexico and the United States. So in Mexico, based on my experience again, I remember that one of the issues in education have been those factors influencing most kids to have less or more access to education. So, for example, in my case, poverty is one of the issues that have been a barrier to many students, including myself, when I was a kid. If Specifically if they live in rural areas, but in 2018, I hear that a lot from my family members who still live in Mexico, that the federal government has started funding this funding assistance by providing directly money, or to each student to cover the school expenses, which is one of the great opportunities, because I don't remember having that when I was living in Mexico. So I am so happy to hear that if it's true, actually it is true, because my family members, the youngest family members in Mexico, do get this type of government scholarship. So for example, there is another program that help them to get trained or get skills in these companies. So at the same time, they're getting paid to learn these skills, so they can incorporate, to these professional areas if they wish to do that. That's what I hear from family members living in Mexico. So I might need to research more about that. But personally, I didn't experience that when I was living in Mexico, which was one of the saddest things that happened to a lot of these kids in my generation. So now, based on my experience again, another issue is a lack of private scholarships that can assist families living in small towns. For example, in southern Mexico, there are no private scholarships available. I hear a lot about this again, about the federal government funding, but not about private scholarships. So now let's explore the disrupting issues in the United States. So one of the issues that I have found in the United States education when it comes to these, you know, issues is a dropout in high school. So for example, a lot of these kids, as I mentioned before, they do have access to almost all supplies from Head Start, from kindergarten to high school, but not, a lot of them don't even finish high school. They do make the decision to drop out. So it might be family, personal issues or whatever they have, but there have been, a major problem with that. So, for example, since it is illegal for students to start working before they are before 16 years old, they usually start stay in school before this age. So once they get a job, when they are while in high school, they get a job, they start working, and I do believe that most of them like, making money instead of going to school. And but again, like, it is one of the issues that we might need to keep an eye closely, because it has affecting a lot of these kids that I know, specifically my Hispanic community. So in addition, even though many private and government scholarships are available in the United States, they do ask, or they do have a lot of these requirements. For example, the minimum requirements for this to get these scholarships, whether it is the government scholarship or private, it has to be a GPA of 2.0. Some of them ask for 3.0, so which makes students who are not really engaged with school to get that scholarship. But for example, in the state where I live, they do have this program called Promise Scholarships, I think. That is one of the best scholarships that is going to help a lot of these thousands and millions of students that cannot afford to go to get higher education. So if they don't qualify for the government scholarships and the private scholarships, they do have the option for the Promise scholarship to which the state is gonna pay for their tuition if they choose to go to the public schools, specifically public universities. So I'm gonna cover that a little more about that in another video. So number 6, grading policy. Grading policy is another difference between the educational system in the two countries. So as we can see in this table, it shows that Mexico, the notation numbers range from 0 to 5.9, which is an F, in the United States. And this grade is not a passing grade, which means that if you get an F in most schools, like in Mexico, you don't pass to the second level or to the next level unless you improve it with a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. So this 6 means that it is not satisfactory. So for example, 6 is the same as D in the United States, but it is a passing grade, which means that if you get a 6 grade in, is your grade is 6 in one of these, let's say in elementary school, you have a 6 in math, 6 in writing, 6 in computing or 6 in other, classes, it's not satisfactory, but you can pass to the next level. So this is the best one. Based on my experience, I had for the most part from 8, 9, and 10. So I can't say that I was the best student, but I mean, I definitely made a lot of effort to have these 3 grades. So which is B, A, and A plus. So however, in the United States, there's grades that let me see. The grades are based on letters of A to F. In most cases, an F is acceptable. It is acceptable. For example, I know somebody who had an A in elementary school in one of the classes, and then they still passed to the next level. So it is not a big deal if you have only an F, depending on the school's policy. But in most schools, you do need to have like a D, like, that includes in elementary school and in high school or in colleges. So even in a college, if it's not, this D is not affecting your GPA. Actually, it affects your GPA a lot. It drops your GPA a lot, but it is acceptable in most universities. But this is the base grade in most schools, especially if you are again, if you are trying to apply for a scholarship to go to a higher education, you do need to maintain at least a C, a B, or what a great thing to maintain an A, which is an excellent grade. So that's pretty much about that. And probably these grades don't mean a lot when you are in elementary school, even in high school. But if you have the goal in mind to continue your career in a higher education, you do need to have a C, B, or A, which is gonna make a difference in in a college if you are trying to apply for scholarships. Now, number seven, we have recess and meals. So in Mexico, students can play and eat meals brought from home or purchase them on site during the recess. Because remember, as I mentioned before, meals are not provided in any of the public schools in Mexico because you had to buy them or you had to bring your own lunch. So another thing I noticed in Mexico is that during this time, if there are kids who are playing and stuff, they do have create a lot of this disruptive behavior. So because first, it's not supervised, because kids are free to play during this time with friends, with their classmates and stuff, but it is not supervised. So it is, I believe, that creates disruptive behavior. So not in all cases, but I have seen it before that, if this kid has a difference between if they have an issue or problem with another kid, believe me, in Mexico, in most schools, specifically in elementary schools, they do try to fix a problem during this time, which is not good. Now, in most of the public schools, you do find a lot of the variety of healthy lunch choices in Mexico, because I feel like they provide like more vegetables, fruits, and healthy meals that are made by these small places. So yeah, that's pretty much about Mexico. Now, when it comes to recess and meals in the United States, during the recess time, most students do have a physical activity or they can play, but they usually have supervised. They have people which can be teachers, trained staff, or volunteers who supervise the kids during this time. So that's pretty much the school's policy in most schools in the United States. And this applies from the level the kindergarten to I believe just in elementary school, because I asked my son about the high school if they get supervised during this time, but he says they are not supervised during this time, the recess and time. So the other important thing is that uh, in public schools in the United States, they do get free breakfast, which is basically before the school time. Let's say that if the school starts, the classes start at 8, they do get free breakfast if they go to school like before that time, let's say at 7 or 7:30 a.m. And then they have the lunch. So this is again from kindergarten or from Head Start to 12th grade. Technically for low income families, but they do have, like, let's say the government sets like at this level of income that families need to make. If they go beyond that level, they do need to pay a little bit, but not a lot, probably like $2-3 each meal, but not a lot. And if they're under that level, it is free for them. So now it is one of the most important things I wanted to make sure that to cover in this slide. Now, we have reached the end of this video. Even though the educational system differs in both countries, I have been part of these two countries, these beautiful countries. One, I was born in Mexico, and the other thing is that half of my life is here in the United States. So the main goal here is to understand how each system provides less or more access to educational tools that definitely impact each student's future. Thank you for watching. While I'm not an expert in educational system, the topics I have covered are based on my personal experiences in both countries. So that's why I have listed the links below if you would like to check out more information about the topics covered in this video. Please subscribe for more videos and see you in the following video. Thank you.